Привет, Tanya! So I shot the content to today's video back in 2019. And with the massive contribution by the women of Belarus to last week's peaceful protests all over the country, I think now is the perfect time to release this video. So let's go and find out the 5 reasons you should date a Belarusian girl. Живе Belarus!
Tsar Experience.
So reason number 1 is not going to come as a surprise to you if you've been watching my videos here on YouTube, and that's the fact that Belarusian women are definitely amongst the most beautiful in the world. So as visual creatures, looks definitely count, and that's something that as a guy you were definitely going to want to be aware of. And I have to say that here in Belarus, it is close, if not the country with the most beautiful women in the world. I can say, having traveled around all the countries where women are at least renowned for their beauty, and I am really amazed in Belarus quite often. I'm not going to say it's maybe country number 1. I always think there's a bit of it's very hard to judge in this region between, say, parts of Ukraine, parts of Belarus. There's just a lot of beautiful chicks. That's basically what you need to take out of this. So reason number 2 to date a Belarusian girl is the very high level of trust. And that actually works out in 2 ways, kind of flip side of the coin. And that is that you can actually trust Belarusian girls a lot more than, say, in a lot of other countries, especially in my experience in Ukraine. And conversely, Belarusian girls are actually going to trust you a lot quicker and a lot more than is the case normally in a country like Ukraine. So basically, the level of trust works out really well for you on both sides of the coin. Now, the reasons for this is basically because the rule of law in Belarus is extremely high and is also taken extremely seriously. Like, I'm going to link up above in the card and below in the description my video about when my phone went missing here in Belarus, and the steps that the Belarusian police took in order to relocate it were pretty exceptional. So you can see with that example that committing a crime, or even the potential of crime, was committed. It's taken very seriously by the police here, and that is very different to being either in, never mind in Ukraine, but even in Western Europe or in North America. It's just not the same. So they put this huge emphasis on rule of law and obeying rules, and as a result, people tend to trust each other more in Belarusian society than in Ukraine, where the rule of law is extremely weak, and as a result you can't really rely on people as much as you can here. So this works out with a higher level of trust, which is great for you and great for dating a Belarusian.
А вы откуда?
Я из Ирландии, британец.
Ничего себе. А что вы тут делаете?
So the third reason to date a Belarusian, and actually just come to Belarus in general if you're interested in meeting some beautiful Belarusian girls, is the approachability factor. Because in addition to having a high level of trust, they don't get to travel as much as other nationalities in the region for economic and visa reasons. Of course, they don't have visa free to Schengen at the moment. I'm speaking to you in May 2019, that might change. So they tend to be really curious about foreigners and really open to learning and excited about it, meeting up with foreigners. So definitely, if you come here, approachability is going to be really high. So maybe you're in general a little bit intimidated at times approaching beautiful women, and maybe that's mainly because of previous reference experiences, right? It didn't go well, you got rejected, or you weren't able to create that relationship or that rapport with the beautiful girls that you were approaching. But here in Belarus, it's going to be a lot easier, and definitely the reaction is going to be very positive overall. So definitely approachability is a huge reason to date a Belarusian. So reason number 4 is the enthusiasm, and now that's connected, of course, to that novelty factor. But Belarusians in general, especially the weekend, they love to party. Lots of great nightlife at the weekend, only at the weekend in Belarus. In the week, honestly, nothing is happening. It's like 2 extremes in this country. But basically, yeah, their enthusiasm, their energy, especially for partying, having fun. And also, I think in the bedroom, Belarusians definitely are not to be knocked for that. Definitely have had a lot of great sex in Belarus. Actually one of the best countries, I would say, overall in my experience, just after Brazil. Brazil is still number one probably, but after that I think the craziest kind of freaky stuff, it goes down in this region in general, and Belarus is definitely brings its enthusiasm in that regard. So that's definitely a reason to consider dating or a Belarusian or just coming to Belarus overall. So the fifth and final reason that I have at least to date a Belarusian is politeness. Now, Belarusians in general are definitely, in my experience, the most polite nationality that I've met from the former Soviet Union. And actually the first time I came here and heard people being super polite in Russian was actually a little bit of a shock to me compared to Russians, what is normal in Russia and in Ukraine. So definitely they are very polite and well-mannered in general, and that is something that, you know, definitely take her home to see your mom and she won't embarrass you by being rude or something like that or inappropriate. So definitely that's the last and very good reason to consider dating a Belarusian. So as you can see from the background here, I have left Belarus, the country full of beautiful women, and come to another city full of beautiful girls, and that is Odessa in Ukraine on the shores of the Black Sea. I'm actually here, just met up with a client, and we're going to hit Friday night here. It's the beginning of the summer season. It's going to be another epic year. I'm sure you've probably already seen my videos from Odessa from 2017 and 2018, but I want to ask you a question. You've been watching my videos, you've gotten to the end of another one, and I want to ask you, what are you planning to do next weekend? Because like my client is here, it could be you here with me in Odessa, for example, could be Belarus. You need to write me an email on connorklein@zaraexperience.com or DM me on Instagram. If I think it's a good fit, we'll jump on a strategy call together, and very soon you might be here with me somewhere in Eastern Europe living the Zara experience for yourself. So, do svidaniya, do pobачення, as they say in Belarus, Belarusian at least, or do pobачення in Ukrainian. See you soon.
Zara Experience.